What is up, guys? Welcome to episode 7 of Crave the Book. Today, Amber and I cover chapters 22 through 25 of Tracy Wolff's Crave series. And in this part of the book, we're kind of getting our first really intimate interactions between Jaxon and Grace. Jaxon has breakfast delivered to Grace's room, and obviously that inspires a little bit of romance and some really, really swooning thoughts. So let's go ahead and jump in. What's up, guys? Today we're going to be covering chapters 22 through 25 of Tracy Wolff's Crave. I'm Starla, and my friend Amber and I are going to be kind of going chapter by chapter from 22 through 25. So if you've missed past episodes, I know that we tend to see the most views on episode 1, and then those tend to kind of dip off a little bit for the other episodes in the series. Make sure that you follow them because we are covering everything in order, and then once we finish Crave, we will move on to Crush, and then Covet, and then by then, hopefully we'll be able to cover Court. So that will be super duper exciting. One little thing, though, if you have not finished Crave or Crush or Covet, you want to make sure that you listen for the howl. And Amber, if you're done with your note, did you want to let them know what the howl means?
Of course. So the howl, like every other week that we have done the podcast for, it is a warning for anybody who hasn't made it past where we've read up to, or at least to the end of Crave, that the things that we're going to be speaking about after the howl are probably going to be spoilers or fan theories, things that we think might happen in the subsequent books or even the movie. So make sure to switch off, come back again when you have read the books. We don't want to spoil anything and we don't want to ruin any surprises. So don't be afraid to drop out. We're not going anywhere.
Yeah, you can always come back and listen to them later. So, and we tend to go all the way to Covet. So don't be afraid to bounce out. We don't want to be the reason that the series has been spoiled for you, because that's no fun. But I'm ready to jump right in because there is quite a bit to cover. In our last episode, we went over the snowball fight and we kind of broke down Flint's legendary snowball fight and everything that took place there. But now Grace is back in her room. Her ankle is hurt and she's just kind of hanging out with Macy. One thing that I wanted to address really early this episode is that I love that Grace isn't just talking like nice internal dialogue about Jaxon the whole time. Like in a lot of books, it's almost like the narrator says nothing bad about the love interest, even when the love interest is being a jerk. I mean, I have seen them say, oh, he's being a jerk, he's being so cold, but Grace is like, oh, he's having a temper tantrum. Like, Grace isn't being shy to just call it as she sees it. Which, I mean, he did have a bit of a temper tantrum, especially with the Flint situation. Not that he didn't have reason to be, since Flint, I guess that would go into spoiler territories. Flint did not act normal after saving Grace.
No, he wasn't subtle. He was very bad at covering up whatever it was that he did.
Yeah, there was something going on there. And Grace is kind of talking about how Jaxon makes her feel. Oh, he makes me feel so different. He makes me feel different than I've ever felt. But then she starts talking about an ex-boyfriend named Gabe. Is this the only time that we hear about Gabe?
I'm not entirely sure. The thing is, it gets mentioned a lot in any, especially paranormal romance, where they're like, yeah, but just compared to Simon or John, like just like the most normal of names. And they always go like, he's so different, or I never did much with thing or this person. It's always comparing them to their previous boyfriends. And don't we do that? We really do that.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's really mean to do it. Like, you should never compare. But at the same time, if you've never gone as bad as you could with an ex, then you'll never know whether you're stepping up or stepping down if you compare.
It doesn't sound like Gabe was a bad guy. It just sounds like Gabe and Grace had a really boring relationship.
Yeah, she friend zoned him a little bit, I think.
She said that they made out a little bit, but it doesn't sound like they didn't really hit it off very well.
The thing is, you can't ever do, I can't really speak from anybody who has had that experience, but if you've always been friends with someone and then you start a relationship and it isn't an immediate, this was what we were supposed to be all along, it wasn't just friends, we were supposed to be lovers. If it's still like tepid after that, then it's probably not really going to go anywhere.
Yeah. I mean, I won't say that there isn't, like, love grows, I think, in time.
Yeah, but if you have to work at it to be able to have that feeling for them, then they're probably not the right person for you.
Yeah, like, there needs to be something there. Sometimes it comes unexpectedly. It's like, oh, someone you've known all your life, and then, oh, you know what? I kind of do like you, but you should never have to work. Like,
and it always happens at the wrong moment. That realization, you're like, oh man, why couldn't I have realized this a few weeks ago when he was available and now he's not? No.
Well, that is a toxic thing in and of itself, because if you're looking at someone and you're like, ooh, you know, now that they're not available, I want them, then that might be a bit of a something that you need to look at in your own psyche, why you only want people who are unavailable.
Yeah, that sounds like a you problem.
Exactly. Maybe you should be talking to a therapist about that. Yeah, and I also noticed how quickly Macy changed her mind about Jaxon, because first she's like, stay away from him, he's dangerous, da-da-da-da. And then out of nowhere, she's like, if you don't kiss him, I'm gonna kiss him. Swoon.
Yeah, she's also talking about the fact that, well, I would have continued to say that he was bad for you up until the point where I saw you two together and how he looks at you. And I think the way that Macy describes it as it like physically pains him to not be touching you.
Yeah. And he does touch her several times in front of Macy. He picks her up, he touches her foot, he stares at her intently and then runs away. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's the reaction I would have had if I saw my friend going through what Grace and Jaxon are going through. I don't know if I would have, like, shifted my opinion that fast, especially with everything that Macy knows about Jaxon, because she's known him for a long time.
And yeah, I would be thinking that maybe there was a bit of manipulation going on there, that if you've known this person, you're like, since he's 5th grade, I think it was mentioned later that they've known each other for a long time, and then all of a sudden he's okay around this new person, you'd be slightly suspicious before being like, oh, maybe you've just changed him for the better. It was like, no, you shifty. Why have you changed your character so fast and so quickly on a dime? What's going on? This sounds iffy.
Maybe that's just like our life experience speaking, because when I was
with cynical.
Yeah, when I was a teenager, I would have been like, oh, I can change him. I can change anyone. He'll change for me. And that's not the case.
I'm special.
He sees me different than he sees anybody because I'm special. And then in reality, no, there tends to be a sweet little honeymoon period with any relationship where they will act exactly as they think they need to act in order to, keep you, especially if it's somebody who shows like narcissistic tendencies, which we often see in YA romance, male characters. And you think that you're going to change them, and then in reality they are just kind of showing you what you want to see, but that can't last forever. Thankfully in this case, well, actually, you know what, I'm wrong. I was going to say thankfully in this case it kind of dies down and Jaxon acts like normal, a normal boyfriend, character, but that doesn't last very long either. So, but if you guys have read Crush, you'll know that. But a lot of the issue that Macy has right now is because she's super duper nervous about the cliques mixing. And she already tells Grace that she can't be friends with Flint and date Jaxon because the cliques don't mix. But she tells her, you don't have a clique yet. Is there foreshadowing in here? That you don't have a clique yet.
I mean, maybe it's Macy being that teenage sort of girl where she feels like, well, you can't just sit on the fence. You have to be in or out of a clique. You have to identify it as one of them, because I don't think Macy actually knows there is anything to foreshadow or to. And she must know that she's not one of the four, at least.
Right. I mean, and it's not like, okay, of all of the different factions, how many of those factions can turn a human into their paranormal? I don't think that we should go into the what types of paranormal, since obviously we'll have readers who don't know. But how many can be turned? Like vampires can turn. Werewolves can turn, but I think that's it, right?
Maybe they just need to chuck a bucket of water on her legs and see whether she grows a tail.
What is it exactly that needs to happen to turn Grace into something?
As her best friend, I would be absolutely just she'd think that it was us hazing her, but I would just be trying to go, maybe this will work. What about this? Let's try this one. Let's try this. She must change. She has to change. She can't just be a puny human.
Maybe that's why Mark and Quinn tried to throw her outside. They're like, maybe the cold will change her. She's like one of those color changing things that changes color when it's cold and hot.
She's a mood ring.
She is. She's a mood ring. Let's just toss her out in the snow and see what happens. And they said that. They said, let's see what she can do. What will she do in the snow?
She'll be purple.
She'll turn
and then
purple.
When she...
Oh. So...
Oh, no. She's angry. You can tell she's orange.
Oh, my God. So we get a little bit about Heather. Heather is just very briefly sprinkled in. I really hope that in court, Heather becomes a character. I hope
she flies in and she's like, I'm a Gorgon, and then goes, ha ha, and then breaks everyone.
Heather is the mermaid you've been craving. She just flips around like a fish out of water.
We need a mermaid.
We do. We need a Crave mermaid character. But
I need it to be a really sarcastic mermaid, someone who is a little bit badass. I don't want any flouncy mermaids, just sitting there preening their hair. I want a badass mermaid.
She's well, I think that Heather would be the perfect mermaid because we already don't know a lot about her other than, well, her mom's a psychiatrist.
Yeah, and she lives in San Diego, which is by the beach.
Oh.
Maybe she's a were-crab.
The plot thickens. Heather the were-crab. Except they don't... She doesn't bite.
We already have a cover for that.
Oh, we do. We could make one of the fake covers. She doesn't bite.
Crab.
She uses her little pinchers, and then you turn into a crab. My favorite thing about this, because I listened to the Crave first through audiobook about halfway through before I decided that I could not tolerate the narrator doing Jackson's voice. I think it's just because I'm not used to audiobooks. I don't really listen to audiobooks. But the transition between the female narrator doing Grace and Macy and then doing Jaxon and making him sound like this, Like, I just couldn't
That's
take...
sexy, right?
Oh, so sexy. Very sexy. I couldn't anymore, and I had to stop. But at this point, because this is the first time through these chapters that I've read them myself and given the characters my own, like, voice. Because at this point, I was still listening to the audiobook, and I completely missed that Heather had asked if there were any hot guys or girls at the school, but then sent the DTF emoji. And me being 29 years old, you know, I'm not hip with the kids, yo. I'm not down with the times, dog. So I had to actually like Google it. And I'm like, does DTF still mean the same thing that I think it does? Oh, it does.
I still don't know what it is. I'm like, I was hoping that you would explain.
Down to fluff. I don't want to get our channel demonetized. What? Down to Amber.
But even with that word, the word that I know that you're trying to say, it still doesn't make sense.
Are you down to fluff?
Oh.
Are you down to fluff? But that in that context, it didn't make any sense because Heather is like, are there any hot guys or girls asking for a friend? DTF emoji. All of our young audience right now is
wanting a hookup.
She's wanting she's wanting a hookup with one of her.
Yeah, it's like the whole like, does she have a sister kind of thing.
Should have hooked her up with Macy.
Didn't she take a picture of her and Macy?
She did. Just Macy.
And then Heather is Heather gay?
I think she's bi.
Well, there you go.
That's what I said. She should have just sent Macy her way.
Aww. Maybe that's who she was supposed to be with all along. Court.
The were crab and the... Oh, God. See, now we're just pulling things out of thin air. This is
why we should wait until after the howl to be crazy.
Yeah, because then we just go all over the place.
Just like, never trust a cra.
Cra. Never trust a cra. Oh, looks like the next notes are yours, so I'll let you go.
So there's a line that says like is too insipid a word for the emotions Jaxon stirs up in me, and I've never ever like resonated with a sentence that Grace has ever said in Crave so far, except for that one. And I think that I remember when I was in high school and people were like, so do you like him? And I'm like is such a... Why can't you say like, so do you find him attractive? It's always, do you like him? Do you like him? Oh, you like him. And I'm like, it reminded me of being at school and having those conversations with girlfriends and being already a lot more advanced than them in my relationships.
It's like, I like how he looks.
Yeah, like also being experienced with love and also like manipulation as well, where I thought that the relationship that I was in was a real one. So yeah, being asked, so do you like him? Is such a weird question for me to like. Imagine if somebody asked you now at like 29 years old, you're dating and somebody goes, so do you like him? And I'm like,
or do you like him?
Like is something that I do like to strangers.
Yeah, like you're all right.
Are you interested in him? Like, do you have anything in common? Do you find him attractive? Do you want to take things further? There are so many other questions. And do you like him? You like him.
This is a lesson to all of our high school listeners. Be the one who stands out in your group. Get rid of the word like and replace it with something that actually makes the other person think, because I think that first instinct is going to be like, yeah, I like him. No, ask them, do your values align with his?
Not that bad.
How are your guys' political views together?
It's more like, can you see yourselves together? Like, it's not just do you like him, it's would you want to spend a bit more time with him? And those questions are the ones that you're going to get the juicy answers to. It's not just, do you like him? Because that's really, it's only going to get one or the other answer, isn't it? It's going to be yes or no. Ask them interesting questions to get the juicy deets. Not do you like him?
Yeah, especially if you're nosy like Amber and I are. Like, if you're actually trying to find out if your friend likes somebody, ask them some questions that will result in better answers, because then you'll get to learn more. And if your friend needs help, you'll know how to better help them and give them advice as well.
We're like hands down the Macy at the end of this chapter, where she's like, and what feelings does he make you feel? And then Grace answers, and she's like, God damn it, you got it out of me.
Yeah, you tricked me.
Yeah, we're those people. We ask the right questions to get the good answers.
I think of the answer that I want to get first, and then I shape the question around the answer that I'm trying for. I'll make sure that I always shape the question according to the answer that I am looking for.
You're playing like backwards. What's the game? The game where like you answer by giving the question to the answer that's on the board.
Oh, I don't know.
It's a game show.
Oh crap.
Everybody is screaming at us.
Wheel of Fortune.
No, is it like Blockbuster? No. Blankety blank? No.
It's probably some weird game show that has a different name for us in the US than it does in the UK, and you'll give
either way.
Yeah. You guys get
you reverse engineer the question.
Yes.
By giving the answer that you want.
Exactly. But that's the psychological approach to go about it, because then you get the answer that you're actually looking for, rather than them saying, well, I don't know. I mean, maybe twirls hair. So almost tea spillage, Amber, is that a sin? You noted that. Did you note that? Is that offensive? Are you offended?
No, I meant tea as in gossip tea.
Oh!
Where, like, he's different than anybody I've ever met. And she's being really, like, genuine and sincere. And she's starting to, like, explain her feelings for Jaxon. And then Macy just does that snort laugh. And she's like, yeah, well, he will be. And she almost gives the game away again by being too, I don't know what the word is, but she's trying to have that gossipy conversation, and then realizing that there's certain things that she probably wants to speak to Grace about. Like, when you're talking about guys with your best friend, you want to be able to ask them as many questions as possible. And I think that Macy was probably limited because she couldn't tell her half of the story because she can't say what he is.
I mean, have you ever been in a situation like that where you were bound to a secret by like a friend, but then you had to talk to somebody else, and there were just details that you could not disclose, but you couldn't hold yourself from being like, well, about that. But you couldn't actually say what you wanted to say?
Oh, yeah, but I'm really, really bad at keeping secrets. Like, really, really bad.
Oh, yeah.
So people always get it out of me anyway.
I'm usually just honest. I'm usually like, I can't. Because it's always a situation with me where, like, I'm like in high school, I would be friends with like the girl, but I'd also be friends with her boyfriend. And then she'd tell me something, but I wouldn't be allowed to tell him. But then I'd be talking to him and he could tell that something was up. And I'm like, I can't tell you. Go talk to your girl. I can't tell you. This is between you two. She told me not to tell, but I'm a bad secret keeper.
Yeah, I always like, I try and skirt around the topic, but I don't do a very good job of it. We found out because I played a board game over not this weekend, the weekend before, and it was a game of bluff, but it was a silly game of bluff. And I found out that I'm really good at telling when other people are lying, but I'm also really amazing at pretending that I'm lying, but I cannot lie for anything.
That's what you just start pretending that you're lying when you actually need to lie, and then you'll be a real liar.
It was really embarrassing where they were like, they believed that I was lying when I was trying to pretend to lie, so that they then thought that I was suspicious, so that the next time when I actually did have to lie, they caught me out. It was weird. But yeah, I've realized that I'm a terrible liar.
I think it depends on what I need to lie about and what the stakes are. If it's something to my own demise, I'll be a bad liar. If I'm protecting somebody else, I feel like I'm a better liar. It just depends on what it is that I'm lying about. Like if somebody walks in and they're like, hey, do you like my dress? Does it make my butt look big? I'll be like, nah, girl, that looks amazing on you. You look fantastic. Like I can lie.
The thing is, that has no consequences as well. That has no consequences. There's no life or death scenario in it. But also, you don't need to continue furthering the lie to be able to get like past it. I think that's my main fear. When I start to lie, I think that, oh no, how many more times am I going to have to lie to keep this lie going? And so then I panic, and then I'm just like, I'd rather just tell them the truth straight out, and then they're not going to ask me again.
Right. Oh, so when I was reading through, I noticed that you noted the Cherry Garcia ice cream. Do you guys have Ben & Jerry's?
We have Ben & Jerry's, but we do not have Cherry Garcia. We have very limited flavors. And then when we bring out a new flavor, everybody flocks to the stores and gets it. And then it's also really hella expensive here.
Ah, okay. Well, I mean, it's pretty expensive here too. It's like one of the more bougie ice creams. What specifically was your note like about that ice cream?
Well, I'm thinking I am in Ohio in 4 weeks' time.
Yes.
And I thought that we could do maybe a little Instagram story of our faces if people would be interested in seeing me trying some of the food that is mentioned that is super American, trying some of the food that is mentioned throughout the Crave series.
Oh, Pop-Tarts.
So like Pop-Tarts, Cherry Garcia ice cream, waffles. Like we don't have like proper American waffles here. So all of the things I'm going to be starting making notes. And I think that we could do like little stories on our Instagram to just kind of have some fun.
Yeah, let's do Cherry Garcia. For those who don't know, Cherry Garcia is the tribute ice cream for Jerry Garcia, who is the guitarist for the Grateful Dead. And it is cherries and chocolate. And it's good, but it's definitely not anything phenomenal. It's exactly what you think it tastes like. It's cherries and chocolate. But there are some really, really good Ben & Jerry's flavors that are harder to get your hands on. There's fish food, Phish, fish, like the band Fish.
Really?
Yes.
That's hard for you to get.
Fish food? Yeah.
It's like the only bloody flavor we get here.
Ooh, I love fish food. That's one of my favorites. There's
it's everywhere.
The Tonight Show has their own with Stephen Colbert. They have the Tonight Dough, and it's a Stephen Colbert's special flavor, which is he's all American politics. So I doubt you know who Stephen Colbert is.
No, and we don't have that here.
And it's really good too. But anyway, yes, we will try all of the things. Start putting those in our Trello board as we read through them. We will have a day where we just try all of the things, and we'll sit on the floor, and we should get some wigs. We should get like I'll get a Macy wig and you get a Grace wig, and then I'll just feed you all of the foods.
Okay.
We'll cosplay it out.
I'm down. Yeah, the ones that we have fish food, we have cookie dough, we have like the chocolate fudge brownie kind of flavor. I don't even remember what the pun is. But then we have like a few like limited edition ones that sprinkle through. But those are the main ones. Like we don't really have a huge selection at all. So if we can't get Cherry Garcia, we'll get something weird and make me try it.
Oh, Cherry Garcia is the most common one here. It's everybody knows. That's probably
really?
Yes, that's probably why she picked that one, because it's the most.
It's memeable.
Yeah, it's everybody knows what Cherry Garcia is. Okay, let's see. Did you think this was going to be the conversation? Because when a girl breaks out the ice cream and she's like, okay, we need to talk. And then she doesn't talk. She just eats half the pint of ice cream with you before she even says anything. It's going to be a conversation. Did you think that it was going to be the conversation?
I think I did. For the first time round, I thought, oh, maybe this is going to be the conversation that has been sort of hanging over people's heads for a very long time. But then even with the second one, I was like, I wonder how much she divulges in this conversation, because I remember Grace being completely unaware for several more chapters. And then even then, I don't think that the information that she sat her down to talk about was even that wild.
No, it definitely wasn't. It was,
it wasn't Ben and Jerry's worthy.
No, or sitting and eating half the pint before you even open your mouth to speak. Though, from that discussion, I absolutely visualized, like, when she said that they all started, that they'd all been going to school together since, like, the 5th grade, and there was another school that they went to together, and that way, all of them knew each other, all of the different factions. I was just like, aw, were they all like little baby monsters together? Did they all go to monster preschool? Like, how far back does this start? Do they do monster elementary school together? I'm wondering. Now I have more questions. When do you start monster training for all the wee little monsters?
Can you imagine, like, like how Terrible Twos is awful? Like, awful. Can you imagine a werewolf Terrible Two?
Or a dragon?
Ugh.
Are they full grown? Are they a full blown dragon, or are they a little like little Norbert?
Do they have to learn to fly? Like, is there like an adolescence of learning to fly? Like learning to walk. So they learn to crawl. They have like tummy time and everything. They learn to crawl, and then they learn to walk, and then they learn to fly.
I propose a baby monster sitcom. I think that would be the best way.
I'd watch it.
Yeah.
I'd watch it.
I want it to be like Baby Monster Daycare, where they're teaching all the little creatures how to be little creatures. And during the whole conversation, she said that Macy said that something happened a year ago that caused all the issues between the factions. And Grace was like, oh yeah, Hudson's death. And then Macy's like, how did you know about Hudson's death?
And then she teased it. She was like, well, did he tell you that Hudson was actually dead? And then Grace is like, wait, isn't he?
She's like, oh yeah, he's dead. I'm
definitely dead.
for sure dead. I'm just wondering, what is it about Hudson dying that would have caused issues between the students, though? Like, that's... And the students, like, I can understand some of it when Trauma, but trauma, I would think, would bring them together, because they obviously had to kind of unite against, for the greater good and uniting as a school. Like, I don't know. I'm still confused.
I can't unhear hot fuzz whenever anybody says the greater good. I can't unhear it. So that is where I'm from, by the way. Like, that was filmed 20 minutes from where I grew up. Those accents are mine from when I grew up.
Oh no.
For the greater good. For the greater good.
Oh God. I want a backstory book. We always do these, like, Tracy, if you're listening. Like, that's how I'm feeling right now. Tracy, if you're listening and you need another idea, like, I want a book about that time period. I want a book of Katmere before Grace ever went there. I want, like, little baby Jaxon and little baby Hudson, and I want a full sequence of events of everything that took place and what led up to the Crave series.
It should be called The Short First Life of Hudson Vega.
No, she's already got the hourglass cover.
Oh. We can come up with something better.
Yeah. I don't know. it's like the thing that I'm most interested in, and I don't think we're ever gonna get like a book about it. But I really do have my fingers crossed. Like, I think I'm curious about what happens to, in Charm, but God, I would love to know what Katmere was like before Grace got there. That just that year. Just give me one book about that year. That's what I really want.
I think what you really want is to know how he died.
I do. I want to know. Was it gory? Was it brutal? What did Jaxon just like? Was it like a poof thing where he just did cease to exist? I want to know.
I've got images of Jaxon just accidentally like, what's the word? Oh no. Oh, what's his power?
Telekinesis.
Just telekinetically moving a banana skin to the middle of the floor. Slips so it cracks his head open. Done.
Makes that little noise. Wait, let me try to throw in a sound bite of that.
Hudson's dead.
Let me see. Do I have a sound effect of it? If so, it'll go right here.
That's how he died.
That's it. That's the end. The banana did it. Everybody do hashtag Banana Hudson, and I don't know, post a picture of yourself eating a banana.
Hudson.
Dude, sounds like, oh, that's the next Ben and Jerry's flavor.
Yes. Tracy, email them.
Banana Hudson. I'd eat that. I would eat that ice cream for sure, Z's. It's got and oh God, it should be like banana and waffle chunks.
Ooh, yes. I'd eat it.
Oh, for sure. Speaking of waffles, this is where to this point, Grace is engaged in a nice little texting back and forth with Jaxon. And first time I read this, like, I got the heart flutter like you get when you get a mysterious text. Like, you don't know who sent it. And they're asking you.
Is yours a happy flutter or an anxious flutter?
Both. But in this case, because I know it's not actually me. Here's the thing. What I don't like is getting an impersonal text that I can tell was not meant for me. But if I get a text that is meant for me, like, that's more exciting. That's like, ooh, who wants...
Oh, I love getting texts that aren't supposed to be for me. That's fun.
Oh, yeah. I mean, depends on what's in them. I've had arguments with people who insist that I am like John Smith, and I'm like, no, I have no idea who you are. And they're like, yes, you do. Don't you remember? I'm like, no, I don't. But yeah. And my note for this was, texting a guy that you're flirting with is so much easier than actually talking to them. And Mark and I, my husband, what's funny is we will be in the same house, like not even 10 feet away from each other, and we will still message each other through Facebook Messenger rather than just get up and have a conversation with each other. And if we have to have a hard conversation, we actually will message each other rather than sit down and talk, because I am not good at confrontational situations. And if we have something where we kind of need to, like, not argue, but we need to have like a serious... Yeah. I am better sending him a message, because he knows and I know that I will not say what I want to say. And my brain doesn't work in a linear direction. It goes all over the place. My lines are like a zigzag pattern. So when
Style of the pogo stick.
Exactly. I'm everywhere. And I would rather be able to stop, reread what I've written, go back, make corrections, make sure it comes out correctly, rather than sit and try to have a discussion about it.
And in the other direction as well, if he sends you something, you don't have to reply straight away. You're not stuck in a conversation like face to face. It actually, sometimes when you've got the message and you don't reply straight away, the other person's kind of getting that opinion that you're taking your time to answer. You're not just jumping in. It's not a knee-jerk reaction. It's not something said in spite. It's usually that you have to mull it over to be able to reply properly.
Right. And it keeps... it keeps you from saying something like out of impulse. You know, you have, and even in this context with Grace and Jaxon, she's able to really think about what she wants to say, except for when she doesn't, and then she kind of says,
it builds up the anticipation. She gets excited about the noise chiming on her phone, and I have definitely been in there, like when I'm waiting for a message to ping through, and it actually makes the message more worth it and very addicting as well. But when you're just stuck face to face, sometimes the conversation doesn't run as easily.
Yeah, and you could reread it over and over again and make sure that, you know, especially if it's something special. I met my husband on MySpace, and I mean, MySpace went through and like deleted all the old messages, and when they redid their platform, but it was before, actually Facebook was around. I just hadn't started using it yet because it wasn't super big yet. But yeah, I had all of our like original conversations from where we first started talking. And I remember like how cool it was to be able to go back and read those. So I think that obviously just being careful in any situation where you're flirting over something that's a more permanent thing that can be screenshot and saved. Being careful about what you say.
Yeah, we need a word for sexting and flirting, because there's obviously sexting, but there's a lot of innocent flirting that happens before the sexting that doesn't have a name, and it's a very
flexting.
It's a very intimate part of human nature and being a teenager, and it doesn't even have a name, unless it does have a name and we're just too old to know it.
Let us know, guys. What is the word that it? See, the thing is, if they give it a word, then it's going to be all over the news, where it's going to be one of those like cringy PSAs. Are your kids engaging in blah, blah, blah? Find out
blurting.
What was that?
Blurting.
Blurting? Are your kids engaging in blurting? Find out tonight at 7.
I don't know where the B came from.
Oh, God. Grace, she also goes over that very common trope of the guy who wants nothing to do with you until you're alone. And here's the thing, it
acts so differently with his friends than he does with me.
Right, with the second that we're alone, everything's different. And I only like this trope because that was so my husband and I. It was so us, because like we would go and do things, and he would be super duper cool and around his friends, and he'd treat me like one of the bros and make fun of me and pinch me, and you know, and I kind of was like, man, he's kind of a jerk. And then like we would start messaging once I got home, and he was super nice. So I like that trope. I think that that's a fun trope. It's not.
Do you also find that like you and me, we're very similar personalities, and I find that I chameleon really well into social situations. I don't enjoy it, but I do chameleon really well. So I tend to get on with any kind of group. I can usually find some point of interest, some commonality between us. And I also mimic what they do as well. It's completely subconscious. Like I have no idea that I'm doing it deliberately. It's completely by accident. I don't know what I'm doing, but it just happens. And sometimes I don't like who I am when I've been around certain people. Like I adopt accents, I adopt traits, and it's gone within like 20 minutes of arriving home again. But I do know that like I definitely act differently around different groups of people, and my husband has obviously seen that happen and been like, you try and show off a lot in front of XYZ group. And it's like, oh yeah, like I'm not even aware that it's happening, but I don't like who I am when I'm in a conversation with them, because apparently I'm awful to my husband.
I catch myself doing that sometimes too, where
like you want to show off.
Yeah, and it's not even that I'm conscious of the fact that I'm doing it. It's just I'm so good at starting to change my color so that I blend. Mm-hmm. That it's
you want to assimilate. You want to be liked by them and appreciated and respected by them. So therefore, you pretend to be whoever you think their ideal person is. but it's not your ideal person, and it's definitely not your partner's ideal person.
Yeah.
But yeah, there have been a few times where my husband's just been like, you were really mean to me. Like, you said some really horrible things. And it's not like I was outright horrible, but the things that I would say would maybe be the truth with no filter. There would be no tact. I would just say it outright, and things that would like probably be very private and should probably be best like discussed behind closed doors. I would just blurt out in front of them just to kind of get a rise out of him, because I wanted to prove that I had my husband under my control. And I was like, that's not me at all. Why did I do that?
Yeah, I think that it's something like poking fun is just something that we do in more social settings. And I think that it kind of roots back to our like need for dominance in social groups, where we try to dominate a social group by trying to be the strongest one within that social group. And, you know, I found as I've gotten older and read a little bit more about, you know, human interactions and psychology, one of the best things that you can do is pick something to make fun of about someone in the group, like to poke fun of, but pick something that isn't a permanent part about them, or something that can't be taken personally. So like never about like the way that they look, but something that is completely either untrue, and so absurd that it's clear that it's untrue, or something that is not like permanent about them. Like, for example, if like one of my friends came over and I don't know, they had like allergies and were like blowing their nose all the time, like that would be something that I wouldn't be too afraid to like make a little joke about, just because they're not sick is not something about them. They're not perpetually sick. I'm not offended if someone's like, ew, you're sick, you know? But yeah, I've actually been trying to learn a little bit more about like proper ways to joke with people that can't be taken offensively, if that makes sense.
I find the easiest way is to usually take the piss out of myself.
Yes, self-deprecating humor.
I do that really well.
Yeah, self-deprecating humor, but making sure that you're not doing it so much that you're coming off as just talking badly about yourself all the time, because that also can be portrayed as, this person only talks crap about themselves.
Yeah, I've also heard a rule that you should never comment on someone's appearance unless they can fix it in 6 seconds.
Yes.
So you have an eyelash on your cheek, or you have a bit of like dirt on your nose, or are you okay? You've got a really red eye or something. Like, they might not be able to fix that, but it's something that they would then want to know about themselves. But if you can't fix it, and if they can't fix it within 6 seconds, then just let it go.
Yeah, there's always that friend that they walk in and they didn't get like sleep the night before, and they walk in and their eyes are all red, and you're like, oh, what have you been smoking? Look at those red eyes. Ooh, you know. And that's just
turns out they've been crying in the car because their dad,
right, as long
was mean. I don't know.
as long as they haven't been crying and it's just because their eyes are red. Yeah.
It's like, oh, do you know that like your label is still on your dress or something? And then they go, oh, no, I didn't. And then you can do it, but you've immediately made their night better because you were the one that noticed it as soon as possible.
Yeah. However, you know, we're talking about things that are acceptable and unacceptable to make fun of. And since Jaxon is a fantasy character, I do not feel badly at all saying that Truly Madly Deeply is literally the worst song ever. Have you guys listened to that song? Like, for everybody who came across that part in the book, because I'm assuming that most of you are a little bit younger, did you actually stop and take time to turn that song on? Because if not, when Jaxon says that is his favorite song, boy oh boy, make sure you turn it on, because it is a treat. And it is absolutely awful. Brown Eyed Girl is kind of cute, though it be mighty old. But yeah, Truly Madly.
His taste in music is very eclectic. Like, none of them match each other.
True. I mean, when I think, okay, so having like some kind of retro musical taste, like that's respectable. I'm fine with that. Truly Madly Deeply.
Yes, he's like 200 years old.
Yeah. Truly Madly Deeply is an awful song. It is terrible. And I'm sorry for anybody who likes that song, but holy moly. Like, I cringe when I listen to it because I hate it so much. Yeah. Anyway. And then we also got our waffle scene. We've got Jaxon bringing more presents. He's had someone bring up Twilight for Grace, which Macy thought was hilarious. If you need any more foreshadowing there. Like, Grace seemed offended. Grace was like,
she's like, I like this book. I
like it. Well, she hadn't read it yet. She'd never read it before, but she liked the idea of it. She was like, I like it. I think it's sweet. And Macy's just like,
she's like, it is sweet, but for different reasons.
Yeah. I remember, because I was still listening to the audiobook by this point, and I remember exactly where I was. It's like, when a natural disaster hits, like, you remember exactly where you were when it happened. And I remember I was dusting my fireplace and I just had to stop and pause it because I started laughing. Like, there's so much awareness here. Tracy is so aware. I love it. And then she was ready to sit and start reading, but she hears another knock at the door. And she's still texting Jaxon. And then she finds out that it's him at the door. Did you notice that she invited him in again?
Yep.
She specifically invited him.
And he got stung by the beads.
Yeah. He flinched as he passed over the threshold. Maybe it's because...
Did the people who brought the, like, food in, did they wince?
I don't think it was noted.
I don't think they did.
I wonder if it's because the woman who brought the food in is from the kitchen, which would mean that she is of the same faction as Macy. And maybe there was some enchantment taking place there where she was able to avoid getting zapped.
Which is just racism, guys.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Just racism.
That's not cool. That's not cool.
You're segregating your front doors now.
Macy, come on now, girl. But yeah, I'm still a little confused, like why he got zapped when he was invited. Does everybody get zapped, even if they're invited?
Maybe it's not the invitation that is maybe the threshold is the thing that you have to do to get them in, but maybe the beaded curtain was as another form of protection,
the extra layer.
Maybe it's like a doorbell,
like the double layer of,
and it just like the Ring doorbell, and it just like pings to Macy, and she's like, "Oh, so and so has just walked in."
Ooh, that's a little creepy though, because if Macy's not around and she's sharing the room, then she's gonna know exactly who's going in and out.
Mm-hmm.
Macy, my. Yeah.
She doesn't need any webcams up. She's got a beaded curtain. I asked my husband whether we could get a beaded curtain because we're planning on putting our sofa, like our couch, in front of a doorway that we don't plan to use from now on. And then we put it there, and then obviously we're still just gonna have like half of a doorway there. So I was like, oh, we could get a beaded curtain. He was like, I will put a block on our account just so you won't buy a beaded curtain.
You gotta get one of those.
So against it.
You gotta get one of those super duper like hippie ones, like with you guys don't have smoke shops there, do you? You don't have head shops.
No.
I forgot.
But we definitely have like the patterns and the images.
Oh,
on things,
okay.
But people do it to be cool rather than because they tend to live that lifestyle.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would be a big warning sign for all the police to walk by.
They're everywhere here. It's totally normal here, even in states where activities are not legal. Smoke shops are everywhere here. We'll have to just for fun. We'll just have to take you into one just so you can get the culture shock since they're not normal there. But yeah, there's beaded curtains, blacklight posters, all kinds of stuff. And that's not the type of beaded curtain I had in mind, though. I had like pretty little beads and crystals.
Like with a nice sunset beach on it.
Yeah, like sun catcher type.
Hula girl.
Yeah. So Jaxon ends up coming over, gives Grace a really weird foot rub, which is, it's kind of strange, a little weird. They're alone, and the first thing he does is like start rubbing her ankle, which...
And he flirts really, really badly.
Yeah. Well,
he asks Grace, who's like, so like, what's with the terrible jokes? And she's like, oh, like it runs in my family. Like I got it from my mom. It's in my genes. And then she was like, oh, how are you so good at these foot rubs? And he was like, well, maybe it runs in the family. And I'm like, oh, cringe. Oh no, he didn't.
And then she's like, did you get it? Or no, then he changes it and he's like, no. Never mind. No.
He realized that what came out of his mouth was just like, no, that's bad.
Like, did you inherit anything else from your mom? Like, that whole conversation was weird. And then out of nowhere, he's just like, I need to go. I need to get out of here.
Well, he gave like the real indication that he really does not get on with his family. Then that's the first point, because she asks him like, did you get anything from your family? And then he said, my eyes, I have my mother's eyes, which very Harry Potter. Very, it's just like, and then she was like, what about anything else? And he said, God, I hope not. And yeah, I relate to him.
I didn't think much of it reading it the first time, simply because I'm like, what teenage boy is like, yeah, I love my parents. My parents are the best. I've never dated, like, when I was a teenager, I'd never dated a guy that was just like, oh yeah, my parents, love my parents, they're the best, my parents are rad. No, it's like, I hate my parents. I hate my parents. They make me clean my room. They make me
so unfair.
They're so unfair. Life's unfair. Then again, I was like,
did you voice the audiobook? Because you're very close to it.
I know. Grace. Really, you have to listen to the audiobook. Like, I love her doing Heather, and Grace isn't awful, but man, and she uses the same voice for Flint and Jaxon. So,
oh no,
yeah,
maybe you should have like persevered and tried to hear some of the other characters that we bring in, with the ones with the crazy accents.
No, she just, it's the same voice for everybody. All the guys just sound like this. So yeah. So not happy in the Vega household is the and
no.
And that's kind of where we end.
He's like, bye.
Yeah, he's out of there. He's like, yeah, I've disclosed this really personal thing and now I need to go. Which I've definitely experienced, like, with, having dated teenage boys. I think that I've had more than one moment where they've disclosed something personal and then they've been like, yeah, I need to go.
Oh, so I have a question, because we've worked out that it is not quite Halloween yet within the book.
No, it's already passed. It's after Halloween. It's 3 days after Halloween was when. Yeah, it was 3 days after Halloween when she was in the library, and it's been 1 day after that. So it's 4 days past Halloween.
Okay. So, because I swear that he starts changing like the bells and stuff for the school day, and he like changes it especially for Halloween. So,
not yet. Maybe next.
Okay. Well, anyway. Everyone seems to be doing a lot of tests and exams. Is that something that happens in US schools? Like, you've only been at school for like what, 2 months, and you're already taking exams?
He just said I was taking a test. He didn't say he was taking an exam. I think that
is that a thing?
There are quarterly. I mean, tests are usually like a Friday thing, depending on what they are. There's usually a test. Just a test to review what you've learned that week. A small test.
This is so strange to me.
You don't have like pop quizzes? Like, okay, everybody clear your desk right now. Pop quiz. I'm going to pass out this random piece of paper.
Absolutely not.
You have not prepared for this at all, but here's a piece of paper. You will be graded on this. Clear your desks. Notes away. Let's go. Yeah, that is where a lot of my anxiety came from was pop quizzes, where they literally, that's what a pop quiz is. The teacher pops you with a random quiz out of nowhere when you are not prepared. To make sure you were paying attention.
We didn't have that. We had a lot of homework. And we had a lot of, like, the teacher would take you outside of the classroom and do, like, the class in a different location so that you would have, like, a change of scenery just to see whether you hadn't just absorbed it within the classroom when you weren't just reading it off of the wall. And we also had a lot of... there was a game, and this is where my anxiety comes from, and it was usually in maths class, where they would have like a teddy, like a stuffed toy or something, and they would throw it across the classroom, and you had to answer the question before you caught it. Oh, no, I hate those. At least with pop quizzes, you had time to like go back to the question at the end if you like blitzed through it, but there was one question you were stuck on. No, these were like, they threw like a stuffed toy across the room going, what's 6 times 9? And then by the time you caught it, you would have to come up with the answer. And that is why I do not know my multiplication table.
Oh, we had something similar called Minute Math, where they would give you a big page of like 100 multiplication problems and set a timer for 1 minute. And you had to answer as many as you could in a minute. And that's that. My brain does not work fast. It works efficiently, but it does not work quickly. I would rather be thorough than be quick and half-ass everything that I do. I am not a huge fan of how the education system treats most brains as if they are all the same, when in reality, we as humans don't really even understand fully how our own brains work. So I could do an entire podcast on that, but I won't, because I guarantee only 1% of our audience is interested in it. But yes, quizzes, and tests and things are just a weekly thing.
No, that sounds awful.
It is. It's very awful. We did tests like every Friday.
Friday's supposed to be fun.
No, it's like get the test out of the way and then you don't have homework type thing. That's how our teachers were.
We always had homework. Always had homework. Always.
Ugh. All right, guys. Oh, I think it is time for us to get into our very few spoiler topics. There wasn't really a whole lot, unless you had no idea that, like, you know, this is a vampire romance, which I think most of you did. There wasn't a whole lot that got spoiled. I had a couple notes and thoughts, though, and I know Amber had some notes and thoughts. So Amber,
one of them was exactly the same as your one, so actually I don't think I added any.
Your first one?
I just rewrote it with different words, and I think I just expanded on what your thought was.
Oh, okay. Is Hudson just one piece of a bigger puzzle?
Well, yeah, I added that. And then I added the favorite food thing.
Yeah, what do you like to eat? And then she's just like, oh, that's too
too sexual.
Yeah,
that's too forward. And then he's like, well, I don't think that we're at that point yet, but I'm sure you'll let me know when we are. Which is a carbon copy of what Flint says later on.
Yeah, except Jackson's is a lot more suggestive. Like he said that he wasn't, that's his way of saying, I'm not going to say it, but you already know what I'm thinking, which is just as bad as just saying it.
Yep. In both ways as well. He's not just not answering because, firstly, that's very forward of them for their first kind of texting conversation when they've not been on a date or anything. That's the first kind of sexual advance that has happened. But also, what do you eat? His answer is blood. I mean, that's not really it's not gonna really have much place in a conversation either.
Yeah, he's able to kind of avert that crisis really quick just by going with the easy, like he's grabbing the low-hanging fruit here with his answer, but
talking of fruit, he should have just answered strawberry, winky face.
Yeah, that would have been not strawberries, just one strawberry. Because that's all his little tum-tum can handle before he's got...
And not just that, is like she asks him what his favorite ice cream flavor is as well, and he doesn't answer and like tries to evade the question entirely. And that is a spoiler in itself, with like the fact he can't eat. He doesn't have a favorite flavor because all flavors end up coming back up again.
Yeah, and since he already bit the strawberry at this point, I just assumed that these vampires could eat by this point, first read through. And so I was a little bit like, oh, he's just trying to be that cool guy who doesn't want to like talk about like favorite ice cream, because that's not, ice cream isn't cool. I mean, it literally is, but maybe it was just one of those things where he was too cool to talk about his favorite ice cream.
He also says like, because she said, well, maybe not listing your favorite is because you like them all, which is the only acceptable answer in this case. And he says, we both know that I'm unacceptable in every way. What a cocky ass.
And then she's just like, ooh, swoon.
It's so small. He's so cocky and smarmy.
It's always the things where they're trying to warn them away. Like, no, go on, get away. I'm dangerous. And yeah, she's having a Bella moment right now. He's given her 2 clear warnings, the Twilight warning and the I'm unacceptable warning. And she's just like, oh my God.
You are so for me.
You are everything that I want. And then
there's one more.
What? Oh, she he asks her for her favorite song, and she says she can't pick just one, which I couldn't either. But he says, what if you had to? And she said, you suck. But then he said, you have no idea how much. And like that could be taken as either a vampire thing or like, wow, Jaxon.
Oof.
Oof, Jaxon. Oof. That sounds like a message you should be sending to Flint there, buddy. It would have been a completely different message if it would have been him and Flint, which just, I am here for that book, and whoever writes that fanfic, if we don't get that book, if it doesn't happen, I know one of you are going to write that fanfic. You send that my way, because that's what I want. I am Team Flint and Team Jaxon. They need to be a thing.
Team Flaxen.
Team Flaxen. Sounds like flax, like a flax seed.
Flaxen is always the color that people go for with blonde hair. When they're writing blonde hair, it's always flaxen hair. What the hell is flaxen?
I've never heard that.
Isn't flaxen like a seed?
Flax seed, but I've never heard flaxen. Then again, Glint doesn't.
That's also just as bad.
Yeah, none of those work. We need a name for Team Jaxon / Flint. We need something cute to root for. But honestly, guys, that's really all we had for spoiler topics, because I mean, everything was very blunt in these chapters. However, I did have some fan questions. Amber, did I even tell you that I had fan questions, and are you aware of what they are?
No, I have no idea what they are.
Oh, all right. So first fan question is, Jaxon sends you a copy of Twilight. Have you already read it? Is this because Grace says like, oh, I've never read that, but I've always wanted to. Do you think that most of our audience has already read it?
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, let me see here. It's actually surprising. 79% have read it, and 21% haven't read it, and that equated out to 151 people have read Twilight, but 39 haven't.
Maybe they've watched the movies and then just realized that the books weren't worth it. I'm not dogging on Twilight, I promise.
No, the books. Here's the thing: the first Twilight movie shouldn't even be canon, in my opinion.
No.
It's so bad. All right, and then
it's so green.
God, the blue tent. You know what? I'm okay with the blue tent. I'm all right with that. What I'm not all right with is that there were so many scenes that could have been added, but they decided to replace those with things that were stupid. Like, for example, when Edward first takes Bella to his house, you can see Carlisle's cross leaned up against the steps. And there's significance there. There's a cool backstory to Carlisle's cross that he got from his father, who was, super religious, preacher, anti-magic, yada, yada. Like, that was a significant plot point. But no, he leads her up the steps and he's like, look at the graduation caps. Like,
we matriculate a lot.
Yeah. Like, ooh, it wasn't in the book. Ah! But yeah. All right. And then our fan poll of the week was, that was fan poll. Fan question of the week was, what food could Jaxon send you that would immediately win your heart? What about you?
Could we do food that would immediately not win my heart?
Garlic
That's
mushroom.
An easier question for me. Exactly. Garlic mushroom, fish fingers, or
Ew.
tomatoes.
Fish fingers. We don't say fish fingers. We say fish sticks.
Fish sticks are a completely different thing here.
Fish
sticks are like crab sticks here. Like the weird pink tube things.
Oh, like artificial crab?
Yeah. Yeah, fish fingers. I hate fish fingers. Or mince pies, which you guys don't have. So I'm bringing a box over because you might really like them. I don't. Mince pies or hot cross buns or Christmas pudding. All of those never, ever, ever feed me.
So what would be your magical food that Jaxon could provide you?
My favorite food. I don't know whether I have any favorite food.
Some foie gras. Sirloin.
Ew. I'm not that fancy. I'm going to say that my favorite meal is like lasagna. But if he's sending me breakfast, you can't go wrong with crumpets. Oh, I love crumpets.
You are so stereotypically British that I can't even make a joke. But you know what? I'm going to be stereotypically American because if we're talking breakfast, biscuits and gravy. This
doesn't sound like breakfast.
Biscuits and gravy. That's the first thing Amber's eating when she comes to America.
I don't want no cookies and chicken stock.
It's not. It's good. Biscuits and gravy is my number one. If we're talking...
They have food called grits. Who would choose to eat like grainy sand?
We got grits. We got cornmeal mush.
It sounds like food.
Ohio is the most southern of the northern states. We have the southern hospitality. We have the southern food. We just don't have the southern weather. But we are very southern because it is all cows and cornfields here. But yeah, that would be my ideal breakfast. However, you guys probably don't know this, but my husband does. I mean, he's like 5-star chef, like at home. He is very obsessed with learning how to cook different things. And he made me how much did he spend on it? It was like a $200 steak that he bought and had shipped from Japan. And it was a Wagyu steak. So I'm sorry, Jaxon, unless you can whip me up like a $200 Wagyu steak, I don't know if you're ever going to really impress me with any type of food that you could send.
I think it would be very rare.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know how to cook.
Yeah. I mean, I eat my steak rare anyway, so.
But hey, if it's cooked by the man of your dreams, I would take a cheese toastie. A grilled cheese, sorry.
From Hutter's?
Oh, absolutely. Hudson can make me like boiled water and I'd be happy.
Hudson could punch me in the face and I would say thank you.
We've got it hard, guys. We've got it good.
Oh, God. Well, let's go ahead and read some fan answers on that note. Let's see. A lot of book stuff said pancakes. Let's see. Let's see. Is it Alex?
I'm gonna have to
Alexis?
try pancakes too, because we don't like, our pancakes are crap.
Yeah, we've got a video of us making pancakes and Amber trying to make pancakes somewhere on YouTube.
Don't say trying. We made British pancakes, and then we showed you the ideal toppings on there. We had the lemon and sugar, and then
you
we
put
had
beans in a crate,
cold baked beans, which you fully believed us as a topping. And my Hudson committed to that video. That poor man. And then the last one was Marmite dunked in tea.
The thing is, her husband has the perfect BBC narrator voice, and he just full committed to the video, and he's dunking this crepe into tea. You know what? I'm just gonna roll the soundbite real quick and let them listen to it.
Marmite and a cup of tea. Get butter.
You can't have Marmite without butter.
No, you got to get your butter. Get your butter. You butter the pancake. Get some Marmite.
Mm-hmm.
And get a little bit of that. You spread that on.
Nice and thick. It's a solid breakfast pancake, this one.
Yeah. This one's ready to start your day. You roll it up, and then you get your cup of tea, and you dunk it in the tea. That is my favourite pancake.
All right, that was it.
We'll have to put a link to the video as well in the description.
Yeah, if you guys are listening to this on YouTube, I'll put a link to it in the description. It also leads to my YouTube channel, but ignore all the business stuff. Let's see. A book journal said waffles. Let's see.
Mm-hmm.
AKA Nicole said a quesadilla.
Ooh, for breakfast.
I like quesadillas, but a quesadilla can only be so good. There is a there's
a quesadilla ceiling.
There is a quesadilla ceiling. Like, a quesadilla can only be so good. Grace Waffles said waffles.
Man, I've got to try these waffles. People love these waffles.
Yeah,
our waffles are rubbish.
You need some big fluffy Belgian waffles. That's what you're gonna have when you come, for sure.
I mean, we're closer to Belgium.
Cactus Cat's book said iced coffee, which, yeah, I think I'm there. I need, like, my latest obsession has been grande pumpkin cream cold brew with an extra shot. I drink one of those.
You sound so pretentious saying that.
Man,
do you say that at the window?
Yes. Pumpkin cream, or I'm sorry, grande pumpkin cream cold brew extra shot. Like that, I will just walk right up to a Starbucks window, and that is what I order every time. Ooh, chicken and waffles.
Again, not a thing that we have.
Chicken and waffles is like, I mean, you can get them savory, where you get like a chipotle honey glaze instead of syrup, but then you can just get traditional chicken and waffles, which is like chicken tenders, fried chicken over regular waffles with normal maple syrup on top, and it's good. Add that
Every Brit with me is thinking of chicken nuggets, chicken dippers with the potato waffles that you get from like Iceland.
No,
every Brit is thinking that potato waffle. Do you get potato waffles?
No.
Oh, if I could bring you some over, I would, but they're frozen, so they would be a bit minging.
Let's see.
A little bit soggy.
Margaret 26 said shrimp and grits. That's another one. You can eat your grits sweet, but you can also eat your grits savory. And shrimp,
it's just prawns with extra sand, isn't it?
Shrimp and grits, yeah, it does have kind of like a sandy. It's almost like a shrimp and rice. Grits are basically like if you were to take rice and make it like all chopped up, tiny, teeny, tiny. Shrimp and grits. Are there any other good ones? Let's see. I can't read everybody's names because a lot of your screen names are kind of like not names.
Illegible.
Yeah. Let's see. Tacos or hibachi. I mean, hibachi is more of an, like, if I'm getting hibachi, I want the experience. I want to sit at the hibachi and have like my chef standing at the table flipping eggs around into his hat. And
what's hibachi?
Oh my God. You've never, oh God, we got to add that to the list of things. Hibachi is.
I don't even know what it is.
Hibachi is when you go to like a Japanese steakhouse and they cook the food in front of you and you all sit around the table and they flip the food all around and do a bunch of tricks.
Yeah, no, we don't have that.
Okay, well, lucky.
Or if we do, it's not here. Not in sweet and sunny Hampshire with lots of trees.
Well, that's another one that's going on to our list of to-dos while you're here.
And tacos. I've got to try tacos as well because Grace eats tacos in the prison, so therefore we have to have tacos.
We'll make those for you. My husband makes some killer street tacos.
You're going to have to teach me how to eat them without making a mess.
You don't. You don't.
Oh, okay. So that's part of the design.
Yeah. You don't. Especially, he can also do the, oh God, what are they called? The ones that you dip. I can't remember, but he can do those as well, and they're very messy. So there are a lot of people said waffles. Oh wow, there's a lot of these are very sexually suggestive.
Oh,
I'll let you read through those later.
Oh, I see.
Bravo,
okay.
guys, bravo. Can't say them out loud, but bravo. But then my favorite one is, in the question, what could Jaxon bring you for breakfast and to win your heart? Someone just said Hudson.
That is the only answer that's acceptable right now.
Yeah, that one, that's the okay answer. So we didn't actually have a fan question this week, simply because we're kind of running short on one specifically about Crave. So I will make sure that we have one for next week, but I felt like we had so many like funny things coming from the fan poll and the question of the week that we were good without them. But yeah, Amber, did you have anything you wanted to add before we finish up?
That is everything. I'm quite excited for the next chapters because I feel like it starts getting like the like tunnel, because she goes to her classes for the first time and we get in the tunnel scene. I hope. Thing is, every time we go, the next chapters is going to be this chapter, and then we start reading and I'm like, there's like 3 chapters before.
It's because we read the first one so fast our first time around that it feels like everything moved a lot faster than it actually is now that we're having to pace ourselves.
I would like to know whether people are enjoying the pace at which we're reading these, like whether they're enjoying it or whether they want us to cover it a bit faster to get to Crush faster. Because I think if we worked it out, we would be getting to the end of Covet right when Court is announced to be released.
Which technically would be perfect, but if you guys are bored, we can always do something else. Like,
yeah, we've got lots of content that we could plan, like the silly, like trying foods that are in like actual videos as well, rather than just podcasts. We also, I have read all of A Court of Thorn and Roses. I have also read Shatter Me, and I have also read, I started reading Black Dagger Brotherhood again, which is a really great series if you haven't read it. I tried to read Furyborn. I really, really tried. I couldn't. I just couldn't. Is anybody else in the same boat as me? Because I just couldn't.
Yeah, message us on Instagram, guys.
It was a weird format.
Send us a message on Instagram at Crave Series Aesthetic. Let us know if you're enjoying the pacing, if you want anything in between. If you're happy with how things are going, then we will just carry on, because we do want to make sure that we're getting to the end of the series in time to cover Court, because what I would like to do with that is do, almost like you guys get to read it along with us each week, where we cover a few chapters. And I'm not going to be able to not just read it all. I was thinking it would be...
me neither.
Yeah, I was like, man, it would be fun to like read it with them, but we'll end up getting it spoiled. So what I will probably do, and what Amber will probably do, is we will end up devouring it within a day or two, and then we will start recording episodes. But guys, thanks so much for listening. Like I said, send us a message at Crave Series Aesthetic to let us know if you're happy with how the content is going, or if you'd like us to change anything up. And other than that, I guess have a great week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.